Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Stokastic.com NBA strategy show presented by Prize Picks. Well, 10 a.m. Eastern time here on Tuesday morning, breaking down an 8-game slate. Dave Loughran at Lofty_D on the Twitters, joined by Adam Scherer at Ship My Money DFS. What's good, brother?
How's it going, man? Another 8-gamer. Looking forward to it.
You seem tired today.
I am tired today.
Yeah, what time did you go to sleep last night?
I don't know. Normal time.
What's normal time, 2?
Yeah, like 1 or 2.
Yeah. Just popping out of bed now. You got your Dunkin' Donuts?
No, I didn't. I didn't wake up in time to do that.
Oh, you got no coffee at all?
Yeah, that's probably why I seem tired.
Yeah, that's it. Anyway, we're here. We got 8 games. We got projections, ownership, boom, bust tool, all that stuff updated. So we're ready to rock. And hopefully we'll get you guys off on the right foot here. This will bring Adam to life, talking a little basketball at 10 a.m. in the morning. So, yeah, you got a little action in yesterday on the Boston Celtics advancing past the second round because they're terrible. They lost to Houston.
Yeah, I love Twitter. But, yeah, I got $500 on the Celtics to advance out of the second round. So they're probably going to be, I don't know, what, minus 250, minus 300 favorites in round 1. And then depending who they play in round 2, something similar.
You would think so, yeah. And
well, I mean, round 2 could be the Sixers, right?
Yeah, they'll still for sure be favored, but I don't know. I don't know what that'll look like if it ends up being the Sixers. They're still favored to win against the field. They're still favored to win the finals.
Right. Well, I think it's the Bucks now.
No, Bucks are plus 360, Celtics plus 340. I'm looking at it right now.
Okay, because Greg.
I mean, it's neck and neck. There was some separation there a week ago when we talked about it.
Yeah, I know Greg had posted yesterday, I think on FanDuel, that it was the Bucks. But either way, yeah, they are. Like they're not playing the Bucks in the first 2 rounds, so I'm clearly taking that bet at even money.
I would too. Plus, the Sixers, assuming it's the Sixers, can't make it out of the second round to save their lives.
Right. And like if it's not the Sixers, it's the Knicks.
Right. And I would happily take the Knicks there. And by the way, everyone, talking about the Kings winning the West. I mean, sure, say what you want. It's fine. But look, the odds right now, and crazier things have happened, but there are all right, hold on. Conference winner in the West. Are the Kings still second place in the West right now?
Yeah.
They are?
I believe so.
Conference winner, 1, 2.
They're third. They're a game behind Memphis.
7. There are 7 teams in the West ahead of the Kings to win the conference. That seems kind of crazy.
Wait, what'd you say?
If you go to conference winner, there are 7 teams in the West with better odds than the Kings to win.
Oh, yeah. That totally makes sense to me, though. Like, the West is weird because all these teams, like, towards the bottom, assuming they're healthy by the postseason, are problems.
Yes. Listen, the Lakers right now are 25-1 to win the West. The Kings are 70-1.
Yeah, I would take the Lakers over the Kings. Like, the Kings just have no chance. They're not a postseason team. They can't play defense. They have a great offense, but, like, they're just not – they can't. If the Lakers are healthy and actually get in the playoffs and you have Anthony Davis and LeBron playing 40-plus minutes a night surrounded by Russell, Beasley, Vanderbilt, Reeves, like, that's an actual dangerous team.
Yeah. Yeah, Clippers 13-1, Grizzlies 22-1, Mavs 25-1, Kings at 70-1. Just a massive gap there, but we've talked about it. Plus, listen, you're a Kings fan, enjoy the ride for sure. Like, enjoy the ride. They're playing good basketball. They're fun to watch. They got some good players. Once you get into those 7-game series, things start to get a little bit difficult. But anyway, you ready to jump into some basketball here?
Yep.
So we got 8 games. We'll kick it off with Cleveland and Charlotte. Jared Allen set to miss another game here. We can start it off really wherever you want when it comes to Cleveland right now. I don't mind starting with Mobley, though, and just getting your thoughts there. I mean, the price point is up. Ownership is up here. It's funny too, because in the games that he's played without Allen, his rebound rate obviously comes up. His usage rate has actually come down a couple percent, but it's such a good matchup against, the Charlotte front court. I don't know how much of a difference it makes playing musical chairs at the center position for the Hornets right now, but a lot of ownership going to Mobley right now. We got him at 27%.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. He has, like you said, he's played 8 games this year without Jared Allen. He has only averaged 1.1 DraftKings points per minute, but you get a great matchup against Charlotte in addition to the increased production, and it just makes him look really good. Power forward eligibility as well, so it's really easy to get him into lineups. It's a spot where you could argue, I'm sure, that he's going over-owned. We have him with a 22% chance of being optimal at 27% ownership, but not getting that much ownership to where I'm really concerned about it. Just looks like a very good option against Charlotte.
Then where do you attack the rest of this team when you're talking Garland, Mitchell? Now that this team outside of Jared Allen is healthy, are there spots that we want to get to here? Lamar Stevens is getting a lot of ownership. He should get another spot start for Jared Allen's absence. He's not exactly the most productive player out there, but he's close to minimum salary.
Yeah, I mean, Lamar Stevens' ownership's pretty crazy to me. I think he's fine as a value. He's just not the type of guy that I want to play if 1/3 of the field is actually rostering him. Obviously you can play him in lineups that are already very contrarian, but he's just not a good point per minute guy. He's somebody that's getting a lot of ownership because his point per dollar projection is decent, but there's just not that much upside for him. Granted, it is a really good matchup, but you're talking about somebody that averages 2/3 of a fantasy point per minute. He played 30 minutes in his start last game, wasn't in the closing lineup. I'm good not getting to him if he's going to be 35% owned. He's somebody that strikes me as, a value piece that would probably fit really well into a cash lineup. But in tournaments, it's the kind of value that I typically don't get a lot of just because there's not a ton of volatility there. It's a very low point per minute.
I forgot to say this off the top too. Happy to have you guys with us. Hit that thumbs up if you haven't done so yet. How could I forget? Subscribe to the channel, atone for your sins, and wash yourselves clean. You know how these YouTube overlords get. We got to appease them. And every thumbs up that we get, that single second you take out of your morning to help us, goes a long way. Leave a comment too down below if you're watching after the fact. We at the very least read them all, try and respond to all of them. And if you're listening podcast form, leave a rating, a review, say what's up. Preferably a good one, but subscribe to the pod. Tell your friends about this good stuff, and we appreciate it. We appreciate it in advance. How else do you want to attack Cleveland here?
I still want to get to the actual good players on this team. Darius Garland at 7,900 looks good. Donovan Mitchell's expensive at 9,600. He's more of a contrarian tournament play because you are probably overpaying a little bit, but you still have a massive ceiling for him. So it'll be easier to get to Garland, but Mitchell, if you can get there, great. Ricky Rubio's pulling a little bit of ownership. He played 20 minutes last game. He is 3,300. If he's going to get 1/3 the ownership of Lamar Stevens, I think I'd actually rather go there just because you're getting a good point per minute guy. 20 minutes, if you get 20 minutes of Rubio, that's pretty similar to 30 minutes of Lamar Stevens at a fraction of the ownership. So I don't feel great about either one, but I do think that ownership gap's a little bit too big. Karis LeVert at 5K, not pulling much ownership at all, but he played 34.5 minutes last game. He was in the closing lineup. He's likely to be there again. I don't expect this team to close with Okoro and Stevens all that often. I think that LeVert is very frequently in the closing lineup. It was a competitive game last time out. He was in there. The only time that I would think maybe it's, LeVert's not in there is if they have, a clear lead down the stretch, but then you're getting into this situation where there's not that wide a range where the Cavs have a comfortable enough lead where they're not going to be closing with Karis LeVert and where it's still a competitive game. You're pretty quickly getting into a blowout range anyway. So most of the time, I expect in any semblance of a competitive game, LeVert to be in there. So kind of surprised he's not getting a little bit more ownership at 5K.
What about the other side where you've got no Mark Williams, again, Nick Richards?
No, hang on, sorry. Also, 4K Isaac Okoro, 3%, 3,500 Lamar Stevens, 35%. That gap makes no sense either.
Okay. So Nick Richards this season, he's north of a fantasy point per minute. Excellent shot blocker. We already know that much. 5.4% block rate on the year is pretty insane. 17% rebound rate. you're not exactly going to get a ton of usage out of the guy, but you can get those counting stats that go a long way. Not the greatest spot, slower pace game. It's, of course, bolstered by the fact that Jared Allen is out, so you don't have that hulking front court for all of this time. But does 5K on Nick Richards today appeal to you at all in the event that he comes out and plays another 30, 32 minutes? We saw him play 32 against Cleveland just 2 days ago.
Yeah, the playing time should be there for him. It's just a matter of it being a tough matchup, but no Jared Allen certainly makes it better. Yeah, 5K, he still looks fine. Ownership's coming in at 20%, so I don't think you're getting any real edge by going to him. It's not like the field is projected to shy away from him because he's facing Cleveland, but good point per minute guy, likely to give you 30 minutes or so, as long as he can avoid foul trouble. I still think he's a good play. Clearly not as good as he was the other day when he was 4K.
Then how do you get to, okay, so yeah, 4K was way different. That was a smash spot regardless of matchup. Talking about, though, the rest of Charlotte here, you're looking at Richards, who's getting a lot of, hey, look, he is negatively leveraged in our boom bust tool, 15.8% optimal, 21% ownership. I do get the ownership, just given that we know he can give you a 12-12 double-double with 4 blocks or something, and at 5K it should be fine. But aside from him, there's really nobody pulling considerable ownership whatsoever on this team. Kelly Oubre's probable, and the rest of this team, all of their price points seem pretty much accurate, unless you're seeing something that I'm missing.
No, I think they are. I think this is just a team you can look at to be contrarian in tournaments. Like, the positive is that you're getting a ton of minutes from Rozier, Oubre, Hayward, Washington. Like, these guys are all playing a lot. And Cleveland without Jared Allen isn't as good defensively, but they're still good. So it's just, if you want to take shots on Rozier, Oubre in particular, a little bit of PJ Washington or Hayward, any of that stuff's fine, but they are correctly priced. They are in a relatively difficult matchup. There are going to be plenty of other good plays to get to on the slate.
All right, keep it moving then. You got Detroit and you got Washington. How do we know Bagley's out, Isaiah Stewart out, Diallo's probably not playing again this year, but Burks, we don't know. Bogdanovich, I would assume he doesn't play, but we don't know. We don't know about Jaden Ivey right now. Looking now at Detroit with what information we have on hand, and it's not all that much, playing their second of a back-to-back today, we're still giving a lot of ownership right now to many of these guys at 10:15 in the morning. How do you look at Detroit and break this team down? Because it's going to be a lot more difficult now than it is later in the day when we have some news.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely need more news on this team. We saw Killian Hayes get hurt yesterday. He ended up coming back into that game, but who knows what they do with him on the second half of the back-to-back. If he's out, this just gets even messier. But if Hayes is in at 6,200, he still looks good, still over a fantasy point per minute guy without everybody else on his team. RJ Hampton at 3,300, that price tag's just not moving. He played 24 minutes off the bench yesterday. He would play even more, most likely, if Killian Hayes is out. Omaruri at 3,800. I don't know if Bagley's been confirmed out or not, but if he is, I expect we see Omaruri start again. That price tag didn't move. He played 32 minutes yesterday. He's going to look like a really good value. McGruder at 3,500 is fine. He's projected to get ownership today. Didn't have any yesterday. That's the kind of spot where it feels like chasing points. Like, McGruder is still that same guy where, he's going to get a little bit more in the way of opportunities on this version of the Pistons, but he's not somebody out there typically creating his own shot or anything. So I liked him. It was pretty easy to get over the field yesterday when he was 2% owned, knowing he would play big minutes at 3,500 or whatever it was. Now you have ownership coming there for what is still a very low point per minute guy. So I get why he's getting some ownership. He's getting half the ownership of Lamar Stevens, which, makes me prefer him to Stevens. But I do think that's sort of just an interesting spot where it's the exact same play it was yesterday, and now he's just getting like 9 times the ownership, I guess, because he played well yesterday. Corey Joseph played a bunch off the bench. He's 5,300. It's still tough for me to get there, but, still got 32 minutes. If Hayes is out, he would look better. James Wiseman's up to 6,900, which I think is a pretty difficult price tag to get to. Still has upside. I mean, if he gives you that game that he had yesterday, you don't care that he was 6,900, but it makes it, pretty tough to get to. 5,500 on Duren as his backup. 23 and a half minutes for Duren yesterday, 24 and a half for Wiseman. If I'm going to one of them, it's probably Duren, but I think it's tough to get to either one. But I like Hayes if he's in. Hampton looks good one way or the other. Better if Hayes is out. Omaruri looks good as long as he's starting. Magruder looks fine. Joseph looks okay. He'll look better if Hayes is out.
I mean,
There's a
Omaruri,
lot. There's a lot to like here for a team that's 12.5-point favorites against a not very good Wizards team. Or
12.5-point dogs. Yeah,
12.5-point dogs.
If Omaruri starts again, I don't see how he's not the best play on this team. Like Wiseman's price has come up a ton. I know he had 2 fouls in the first rotation, but he didn't get into any foul trouble after that. Still only played less than 25 minutes. He was great, but I mean, at that price point, that's a tough ask if you're saying, yeah, because remember you and I talked about it yesterday where it was like, hey, maybe he plays more minutes because he had foul trouble the previous game, which has been a running issue. And then he could have played, possibly 30 minutes. Then he goes back to playing 24 minutes in this game. He closed with 3 of the other starters, but still that, I don't know. Omaruri's 3,800 today.
Yeah. As far as Wiseman goes, what we saw yesterday is my concern with him because I have a hard time believing that the plan for the Pistons down the stretch of the season is going to be to only play Jalen Duren, 18 to 20 minutes and give Wiseman 28 to 30 consistently. It seemed like maybe they were going that route with the recent games, but yesterday we saw what really does concern me about Wiseman, that this turns into something close to a 24-24 split more often than not. And in situations like that, I'm just going to prefer whichever the cheaper center is.
We got some stuff to look at for Washington too, because Kyle Kuzma's questionable with knee soreness. Maybe he plays. I don't know. He was dealing with that after the Sixers game and that blowout loss. Bradley Beal over the last month has a 34 or 33% usage rate. He's been fantastic. You take Kuzma off the floor, almost 200 minutes over that stretch. Beal's at 35% usage. So I don't know, just once again, one of those teams where you're looking at them recently and going, yeah, a lot of these guys are playing pretty well. Beal's usage is through the roof. So I'm not shocked when I see, 19% to Porzingis, 18% to Beal in a phenomenal spot against the bottom 3 defense in basketball. How do you prioritize these guys though in the event that Kuzma's active?
Porzingis is 1 for me, probably Kuzma 2, Beal 3, just because of positions. Beal's actually getting quite a bit more ownership than Kuzma, but I think with Beal being shooting guard only on DraftKings and Kuzma being small forward, power forward at 600 less, I'll probably get to more Kuzma. But all 3 of these guys certainly happy to get there. There is blowout risk here, but with Washington being the favored team, we talk about it a lot. If Washington actually runs away with this game, there's a very good chance that at least one of those main 3 guys are just having an absurdly good game. Much better from a point per minute standpoint than usual. And Washington's also just not that good of a team. There's a very good chance, even if they win by 13 points, that they never really run away with this game. And, you still get significant fourth quarter minutes from the regular players. So that combined with the falling price tags, Porzingis down to 8,700, Kuzma at 76. I really like these prices here. Washington should be running a pretty tight rotation as well. This is a team that's fighting for the play-in game. They care about it. They've made that very clear. It's not like they're going to just willingly fade out of the playoff picture and go, into the lottery. So I expect a tight rotation from this team. It makes all 3 of those guys look good. Denny Avdia at 4K projected for some ownership. I still I get it. He's on average giving you around 22 minutes, but some games he'll play more. At 4K flat, there's certainly some upside there. Monte Morris got back into the starting lineup last game. He's only 4,500. He played 26 minutes. DeLon Wright played 20 off the bench. At some point, it's likely that you see them playing minutes alongside each other. That's what they were doing prior to Morris's injury. But assuming Morris is back in the starting lineup and giving you somewhere in the upper 20 minutes range, I think 8% might be a little bit low for him at 4,500.
Okay. So Washington.
One other thing to mention, I don't really know what to do with this, but so Corey Kispert's been closing a lot. Corey Kispert's 3,900 right now. Corey Kispert's been closing a lot of games. He looked really, really good against Philly. He was cutting off ball, just getting open, getting shots in the lane. Kispert typically is somebody that he's out there to space the floor and knock down threes. He was very involved just as a cutter and somebody, outside of 3-point shooting in that Philadelphia game. You saw a massive game from him. He led the team with 25 points in that loss. So I'm not reading into that saying Corey Kispert's suddenly some new player, but we have seen him frequently closing anyway. He's getting 0.5% ownership right now at $400 more expensive than Lamar Stevens. I think Corey Kispert's a very logical pivot if you're in that price range. He's not, even on average, he's like the same point per minute guy as Stevens. He's giving you similar playing time. And there's some chance that you are actually seeing him step up as, into a little bit different role.
The Denver Nuggets today going into Toronto are 1-point dogs, 227.5 total. We'll wait and see what Jamal Murray's status is as we get closer to lock. 7:30 tips, so we should have a good idea of that. Nikola Jokic right now getting 8% ownership too, coming off that insane game. One of many. He has 11% optimal score today. Positive leverage on this slate. Of course, who knows what's going on with Murray? Not sure how much it matters with Jokic at this rate anyway. But aside from that, you have Giannis playing the second of a back-to-back tonight, assuming he's active. I don't know. Just coming off that 34-minute game against Sacramento last night on this West Coast road trip. Then you have Jokic, Anthony Davis. Like, these are your high-priced guys. Lillard is questionable. But really, in that one tier, it's Giannis and it's Nikola Jokic. Jokic at 8% right now against Toronto.
Yeah, it kind of just makes me think it's difficult to get to that tier, but certainly happy to get to him if you can. It's Nikola Jokic. It's a reasonable price tag. From what we've seen so far, I mean, if it's the kind of slate where the value that you're being given is 35% on Lamar Stevens, then I'll probably just end up going a little bit more balanced. But it's also March 14th and there's 8 games, so stuff's probably going to open up. You do know you have value from Detroit, so yeah, Jokic looked good if you can get there. Perfectly fine matchup, great player, obviously. If Murray is out, it does make Jokic, just look that much better.
Do you get to anybody else from Denver right now, assuming Murray's active?
I think Murray, if he's active at 7,900, looks pretty good. He once again got minutes with the second unit last game. It didn't work. The second unit got torched, so I have no idea if they'll go back to Murray here or if it's going to be KCP or something completely different. But the upside for Murray at 7,900 is still nice, especially if you do end up going with a more balanced build. It's giving you exposure to this Denver offense at, much cheaper price tag than Jokic, where on average, Jokic is going to be the guy that dominates, but Jamal Murray has that ability to just take over a game and be that guy. So at low ownership, if Murray's in, I do like getting there. I wouldn't really like much else from this team, though, if Murray is in. Porter, Aaron Gordon, KCP, all reasonable, but they're all just pretty much priced where they should be, if not a little bit overpriced for Murray being in.
I have the boom bust tool pulled up for Toronto, and you've got, by the way, 50% off everything out there, whether it's NBA or every single sport you're looking for, across the board. 50% off a week or a month, or you want to do the lineup generator, that's 50% off the week. $4.48 is what it works out to, especially for you guys that are busy and are just looking to plug and play lineups while putting in a little of your own input as well. If you want, you don't have to. You can just save as many damn lineups as you want. You could do it however you want to play it. All of that stuff. We just had Bob using the tools, again, rocking the Stokastic avatar. You see he had another huge win on Twitter today?
Yeah, I did. I wouldn't have seen it, but Stratford replied to it, so I saw it.
Yeah, oddly enough, I didn't get notified until Stratford. And when I saw that Stratford notification, I immediately go, he's just being like a sarcastic asshole.
Yeah. I went back and looked at my replies. I was like, oh, who's Bob? And what did he say that was like dumb? But I had it muted because he used the word heater. And if you don't mute the word heater, you just see random run pure screenshots. So I have it muted.
Well, he had another huge win. Right? Boom bust tool, baby. Ownership, player projections, all that good stuff. You want to get the Fantasy Cruncher add-on, do that too. It's literally 50% off whatever you want. If you're like, I'm trying to get into some MMA too, want to get into some NASCAR, whatever, MLB coming up, NHL, NBA, everything. XF. If they have contests out there, we have all the content you need, all the tools you need for all of those sports. So 50% off everything for the first week or month, whichever you play, or a lineup generator when you can just get we're already putting the best lineups out there according to our sims, and you're just picking the ones you like the most. You can upload them to CSV, or you can just simply use your phone. You can do it. It's optimized for mobile as well. You can lock players, you can swap players, however you want to do it. Generate as many lineups as you want and take them straight to the bank. So link to that is in the description. Link to the 50% off. And here's another thing. I'm throwing a lot at you, but pick your poison here, whichever you want. We also have all of March Madness. It's $40 for all of March Madness. That's the Discord. That's the projections. That's all of the usage and all of this insanely valuable stats that you're going to have to win March Madness throughout the entirety of it. $40 there. So whichever you want, all in the description, all in the chat, 50% off the lineup generator or all of our tools for the week or month, and $40 if you're looking for some March Madness action as well. All right, let's talk about Toronto. Looking at the boom bust tool, we don't have a single player north of 9% optimal today, and that's Fred VanVleet with Jakob Poeltl at 8% right behind him.
Yeah, not a great spot for Toronto. There is upside in these guys. It's just another team where if you end up with one of them in a tournament lineup, I think it's a perfectly fine way to be contrarian. VanVleet, has upside at 8,400. So does Poeltl at 7K. Barnes and Anunoby both coming off of massive games against the Lakers. They're still reasonably priced. Siakam's been shitty for a while, but his price tag has reacted. He's down to 8,600. Getting him at 5% owned, like you understand the type of ceiling that's there. It's just you're not going to be able to prioritize these guys because there are plays that look a lot better. But it is a good team. I think they're going to play a lot of minutes, so it is a good team. To have a tournament lineup and be like, all right, I have these 6 guys that all look really good. Let me throw in Pascal Siakam. Let me throw in Fred VanVleet. I'm not lowering my ceiling. I'm lowering my median projection a little bit, but I'm not lowering my ceiling. You still have a massive ceiling from these guys, and you're getting an ownership discount. So in that regard, I like this team. But as far as pointing to one guy and saying like, oh yeah, that's who I'm building around, or he looks really good, I don't think it exists for Toronto.
Okay. Nick Claxton for the Brooklyn Nets going up against OKC, 232 total here. Nets 1.5 point dogs on the road. It's funny too. I remember mentioning this to you like weeks ago, thinking there's just no way Spencer Dinwiddie's assist rate stays as suppressed as it is. Like there's just no chance that, and I know that, you take Ben Simmons off the floor, fine, but his minutes were dwindling anyway. You look at Dinwiddie recently, last 2 games, 16 and 11 assists. Of course, that's not sustainable, but you're seeing some monster performances out of him. And what you needed was to get the peripheral stats ramped back up to a point where he didn't need to score 30 points in order to get you a good game. Before we get to Claxton, I actually want to start with Dinwiddie here in a pretty decent spot. We have him with really nice positive leverage, 17% ownership. Again, boom bust tool, if you're wondering where all this is coming from. 17% ownership, 22% optimal today. And just finally seeing that production as a playmaker that I was hoping to see when he first came to Brooklyn.
Yeah, plenty of playing time as well. Price tag's a little expensive, but looks good here. He's clearly going to get shot volume on this team. Played 38 minutes last game against Denver. I don't have any issues with Dinwiddie. I've been getting to him a lot recently. I expect that I will in this spot as well.
What about Claxton, who's almost always the highest owned Brooklyn net, so long as he stays at this mid 6K range?
Yeah, it's just a really cheap price tag for somebody that gives you the ceiling that Claxton does. The playing time for him has been the concern. You got 28 minutes again last game, but also that's a game where he dealt with some foul trouble in the third quarter, had a shortened rotation there. They didn't close with him. They went with a smaller lineup that had Royce O'Neal in place of Claxton. That's always a risk with this team when you have every 3-and-D player in the league on the same roster. It's very easy for them to close with small lineups. But at 6,600, even if you get 28 minutes from Nick Claxton, he certainly gives you a good projection and a good ceiling at that price.
So you have Claxton, you have Dinwiddie, we have Mikal Bridges, relatively popular on an 8-game slate today as well. Are there any other early on? Of course, it's still 10:30 right now in the morning. Are there any other priorities or plays that you want to get to a decent amount of for the Nets?
Bridges looks good. Cam Johnson looks good. No problems getting to either of those guys. We know that Bridges has been a usage monster with Brooklyn so far since joining the team. 26.8% usage, 1.16 DraftKings points per minute. He's playing big minutes as well. Cam Johnson should give you around 30 minutes at 6,100. All 4 of those guys, Dinwiddie, Claxton, Bridges, Cam Johnson, all look pretty good. O'Neal's price tag came up, so I'm not really interested in getting there. Finney-Smith's price tag come up a bit as well. So those guys are a little bit more difficult for me to get to.
Okay. Let's flip it to the other side then. Talk about the Oklahoma City Thunder. So right now, 1.5 point favorites at home. SGA. Where do we have SGA at? 27% boom score. Yeah, 17% ownership. Giddy's pretty expensive still, priced up with SGA being absent several times in the past. I mean, it looks right now at first glance like it's pretty much SGA, and then the rest is kind of ugly here. Jalen Williams is north of 7K still. Giddy's at 8K. SGA is only 9,400 today, though. That's kind of interesting.
That's a really favorable price point on SGA. I don't understand how he ever really gets that cheap. Like, you don't have to lower his price because he rests on the second half of a back-to-back. You can, leave him at 10K. So 9,400 for him is a very nice price tag. We saw, typically you're just getting, 36 minutes or so from him. He played 37 against New Orleans in his last game. I don't know why he's that cheap. He's clearly a good play.
It certainly feels that way right now. I mean, you're talking about 9,400, a guy that has a 30+% usage rate, going to play good minutes. Yeah, I'm not sure what we're missing here. And it's not exactly a bad spot either. 232.5 total. His point prop today is sitting at 31.5. No surprises there. What's his PRA prop? 42.5. Yeah. 42.5 PRA prop on SGA, 9,400. That looks like one of the more appealing spots for these like 9K, high 8K guys today. It really does. Cool. All right. And he's playing huge minutes too.
Yeah. Mr. Gerg said their coach said they're monitoring SGA's minutes the rest of the season. Yeah, I'll believe that when I see it.
Yeah. I mean, the problem with monitoring minutes means they could just watch them from the sidelines and go, well, I monitored them.
Right. Like, it's OKC, so certainly they could. They also aren't tanking. Like, there's like this weird misconception that OKC's tanking. They are not. So I'm not until I see it happen, I'm not overly concerned with them just like shutting down SGA in the game or something.
His free throw attempts recently have been insane.
And also monitoring minutes doesn't necessarily mean in game. It could very easily just mean he's not playing a back-to-back the rest of the year.
Yeah, sure. Look, if it's a competitive game, I doubt that he's going to play 32 minutes. But
right. OKC is barely out of the play-in game right now. They're tied with the Pels and the Lakers for the 9-10 seed.
Yeah.
Like they'd be out if it started right now on tiebreakers. SGA's been the one guy that they haven't screwed with his minutes this year during games. I think it's much more likely that they are going to rest him. Like that you're just going to see games where SGA plays 0.
I agree.
As opposed to he's suddenly playing like 24.
How many free throw attempts do you think he's averaging per game this year?
12.
Yeah, 11, but a lot more lately. Those type of guys are just so valuable. Anybody else from OKC?
Not really. The prices, like you said, went up without SGA. Like clearly, if you want to play some 3% owned Josh Giddey, he can have a big game, but it's just so difficult for me to not just find the money to get the SGA there instead. Jalen Williams is back, but he's priced up to 7,200. He's also somehow power forward only, despite playing basically every position on the floor. He's very good, but you do see a bump or a decrease to his usage with SGA back. It's tough for me to really get to anything outside of SGA.
Let's keep it moving then. By the way, 14 likes away from 100. We got 450 people watching with us. 14 of you. Just be one of those 14 that makes things happen this morning, and we appreciate it. Talk about the Lakers. Anthony Davis with the standard probable tag today. Aside from that, just still no LeBron James, and everything else is kind of status quo when it comes to this Lakers team. D'Angelo Russell's been back, so nothing else to talk about there a ton. But I guess ownership on Anthony Davis, it has been decreasing a little bit recently just because you're getting him so close in salary to a lot of these other guys. He's still higher projected own than Jokic right now. So, that's interesting. But aside from that, you're looking at a guy that's almost 11K. Not a bad matchup, though. Are we, and where's Giannis at? Giannis, we have at 6% ownership right now. So of that trio, Davis marginally more or higher owned than all of them. How much of him are you looking to get to today?
Yeah, happy to get there. The problem, like you said, is that he is getting close to Jokic in salary. And on DraftKings, he is center only as well. So you still have that opportunity cost where, you have people going to Nick Richards, you have people going to Nick Claxton, you have Jokic, you have plenty of other centers. It's an 8-game slate. So that makes it difficult as well. But certainly happy to get there when you can. Perfectly fine matchup against the Pels. We know that he's very good without LeBron on the floor. He should be easier to get to on FanDuel where he has power forward eligibility as well. So you have more roster spots that you can use. But he's very similar to me to Jokic, where if I see Anthony Davis in lineups, I'm very happy with it. But I understand why the ownership isn't higher just based on where his price tag is relative to Jokic, and also the fact that on DraftKings, he only has one position. But 700 minutes played this year without LeBron on the floor, 1.6 DraftKings points per minute, certainly a very, very high upside option.
Got to say, though, D'Angelo Russell kind of interesting coming off a 35-minute game. I mean, that looks relatively appealing given the fact that, he had not been playing close to those minutes. 35 in that spot. Was that a regulation game?
Yeah.
It was, yeah, against the Knicks. 35. I guess the way I'm kind of looking at this team right now is like, let's just assume that Russell starts playing these type of minutes. Who else on the team is really soaking up considerable usage? I mean, we know what type of player Vanderbilt is. Sure, Malik Beasley is going to get some opportunities, and I understand that. But behind Anthony Davis and D'Angelo Russell, there is not that much here when it comes to concentrated usage or guys picking up scraps essentially behind very concentrated usage between Davis and D'Angelo Russell right now.
Yeah, no, it should be Davis and Russell running the show here. Very limited sample, of course, but without LeBron on the floor, 144 minutes for D'Angelo Russell with the Lakers, 28% usage rate, 31.9% assist percentage, 1.25 DraftKings points per minute. Pretty clearly underpriced here, given that he's back to playing big minutes. And like you said, there's just not many guys on this team that can even cut into his usage. Like when you think about other guys that can score, Malik Beasley, sure, but he's got like a 20% usage rate without Russell on the floor. Dennis Schroeder obviously can run an offense and be a relatively high usage guy. Davis and Russell, of course. But then Vanderbilt is, a defensive player. Austin Reeves isn't a high usage guy. Rui can be, but you don't want him to be. Troy Brown's not. Like there's nothing here. There's not much of a threat to D'Angelo Russell's role as the clear second option behind Anthony Davis in this offense. And then you're getting playmaking on top of it. So he looks really good to me.
Not going to lie, that 20.5 point prop on Russell looks kind of nice too.
What was it?
20.5.
Yeah, well, let's see. What do we have in that? Yeah, we have him at 19.5.
Really? Okay. I mean, I guess it's just like if you're getting those additional minutes, I guess we can't lock him in for 35, but
yeah, we have him projected for 34.5 minutes and like 19.5 points.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Lakers still got something to play for though. Currently sitting in the, what's that?
So they got a lot to play for.
Yeah. Just like don't implode while LeBron is out, and then you've got a real shot.
Right.
I wouldn't want to face him in the play-ins.
I wouldn't want to face them at all. Like if they get the 8 seed and Denver has to play them in the first round, like that's, and assuming LeBron is back and healthy and Davis is healthy, like that sucks for the 1 seed.
Sorry, that's what I meant. Is I wouldn't want to be the team that faces the winners if they get out of the play-in. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I have them. If they win the West, I make like between 4 and 5K. So I'm a Lakers fan, but I love what they did at the deadline. It's just a matter of do they get into the playoffs and are they healthy?
Yeah, pretty much. All right. Behind Russell and Davis, though, is there anything here for us?
Not really. No. Like Jared Vanderbilt, can give you those occasional big games at 5,100. So if you want to hope for one of those at 2% owned, I get it. But there's nothing really that I can point to and say like, oh yeah, this looks good outside of D'Angelo Russell and then Anthony Davis if you can find the money.
All right. Flip it to the other side with the Pels. You have Brandon Ingram questionable here. So we'll pay attention to that throughout the day. Right now, New Orleans, looking at them in our tools, there's not much happening here. Is it a spot maybe where you sprinkle in some McCollum? Well, listen, if Brandon Ingram's out, that changes the complexion of this team considerably. But right now we have him ruled in. or projected in?
Yeah, if he's in, obviously that does matter. It takes usage away from CJ McCollum. It takes minutes away from Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, Najee Marshall. If he's out, CJ McCollum certainly looks better at 8K. He's good at 8K either way. It's a good matchup against the Lakers, but he'll be better if Ingram is out. Jones, Marshall, Richardson, Murphy, all pretty much at price points now where I'm not very interested if Ingram's in.
Okay. Is there anyone you're interested in if Ingram plays?
McCollum.
Okay. Let's keep it going.
And Ingram.
So you got Orlando now going up against the Spurs. Always a fun matchup. 6-point road Orlando Magic, 6-point road favorites. Franz Wagner, questionable. 234.5 total here. Now we'll get to all the injuries for San Antonio in a moment, but let's kick it off with the Orlando Magic. So just looking at them right now, you've got Wendell Carter Jr., pretty popular here. Look, whenever you get these teams facing off against the Spurs, and then if Wagner's out, we can continue that discussion later tonight when you are on the deeper dive. This game is a what, 8 o'clock tip? Yeah. But with Wagner not projected out right now, Wendell Carter still pretty pop. Anytime you're facing the Spurs, you're just going to get some guys that are going to be relatively popular because it's literally as good a matchup as you can get across all 30 teams in the NBA.
Yeah, fantastic matchup. It's another spot where this game sucks from an NBA standpoint, but from a real life standpoint, it's very appealing. So that Franz Wagner news does matter. If he's out, you're getting more minutes for probably some combination of Jalen Suggs, Cole Anthony, and more usage potentially for Carter, Fultz, Banchero. If he's in, even if he's in, Carter, Fultz, Banchero all look good. $6,300 price tag on Wendell Carter going up against the San Antonio team is certainly appealing. He played 42 minutes, including overtime last game. Speaking of minutes being monitored, it was announced before that game that Wendell Carter Jr.'s minutes would be monitored. He played 37 minutes, 36 and a half minutes in regulation, and then 5 minutes in overtime. So again, monitored typically means ask the professional athlete if they feel like playing and say yes. So he certainly looks good here at 6,300. Fultz at 6,500 is fine. Banchero looks fine. And then again, that Wagner news is big.
Anything else for Orlando? Should we get into this Spurs mess?
Yeah, Orlando just they look good across the board. And any of the main pieces look good for Orlando. It's a great spot against San Antonio.
All right. Well, you have no Branham. You have no Trey Jones, right? Yeah. No Malachi Branham. No Trey Jones. Keldon Johnson and Jeremy Sohan are both questionable. So that throws another wrinkle into the mix here when you're looking at this Spurs team today. 6-point dogs at home. Right now, you've got Devin Vassell, pretty popular. We have Devontae Graham at 16.5%, only 5% optimal. That might be the worst leverage score on the slate that we have of any players this early in the morning.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know why he's only 5% optimal.
So, okay. And of course, look, these smooth over as the day goes on. These adjust throughout the entirety of the day. Do you like Devontae Graham then at 5K?
Yeah, he started in place of Trey Jones last game. Brandon was in for that game. He played 32 minutes. Assuming that Devontae Graham is in the starting lineup here, he looks good at 5K. It's a good matchup. He's a good fantasy producer. The Spurs are shorthanded. Obviously, like you said, we know they don't have Jones. We know they don't have Branham. That's why I'm comfortable assuming that Graham's going to be in the starting lineup. But then if you take out Keldon Johnson again, that's more usage available. If you take out Sohan, there's more production available as well. So assuming he's in the starting lineup, 5K for Graham is going to look good.
How do you approach the rest of the Spurs with the news that we have right now, though?
I probably go broke playing Devin Vassell again. He's only 6,100. I've been playing him a ton. He's been playing like shit, but played 33 minutes last game. There's no minutes restriction on this guy. He's 6,100. If Keldon Johnson is out, you get even more usage for him. But even if Johnson is in, Vassell, should get at least some playmaking opportunities here with no Trey Jones. He's a good scorer. He's alongside with Keldon Johnson, the highest usage guy on the team. So I'm going right back to a $6,100 Devin Vassell, and hopefully he actually makes some shots. Also, if Keldon Johnson's in at 6,700, he looks good. Zach Collins is interesting in tournaments at 6,300. He's getting 4 or 5% ownership, where Wendell Carter Jr. is getting a bunch. Nick Claxton's getting a bunch in that price range. You have Nick Richards for a bit less getting a lot. I agree that all of those guys are good plays and should be popular, but you're getting around 30 minutes from Zach Collins when he avoids foul trouble. He's in a perfectly fine spot against Orlando. I don't really understand why he's not getting a little bit more ownership.
We should have some Taco Tuesday action on Prize Picks today. Josh will have his video out on the Odd Shopper channel. You're getting a $100 first match deposit bonus when you sign up, meaning if you go over using the link in the description or in chat and you say, all right, I'm putting $100 in, your account balance is going to say 200. You put 50 in, it's going to say 50. Same thing, even if you only got $10 to spare, but you hear all this great stuff about Prize Picks, it's going to say 20. Awesome promo right there. That doesn't even include the fact that when you use this link, right, you could sign up at Prize Picks anywhere else. You've seen the promos, right? You haven't seen the promos where if you sign up, you're getting a free month of Stokastic plus Platinum, right? $120 value, everything across the site. I just mentioned it. Like, you're talking every sport that I mentioned earlier, all of our tools that I mentioned earlier, all of them built by some of the best DFS players in the world. Alex Baker and Sean's on it, and Steve Buzzard does a lot with these. That dude just took, I think he just shipped 200K the other day. You don't see their faces very often, but that's because they're working on the tools and then using them to win. You're getting the first month entirely free, including the Discord, including the lineup generator, including every tool for every sport we have. And you got March Madness coming up as well. You're going to have access to all of that. Use the link, sign up at Prize Picks. Take advantage of their deposit bonus, their awesome format. Use Josh's video to win. He's been on a heater lately. Use the tools that you're going to get for free at Stokastic to win. You're just building lineups with props. It's that simple. Use our projections. There's no juice. It's not like you have to worry about it being minus 150. It's just the over or the under on either side. If you go with a 5-pick lineup, you're 10xing if you hit. And unlike traditional books, if you hit 4 or 5, you're still 2xing. You're still making money back on 3x, as a matter of fact. And if you're less risk averse than others, you hit 6 of 6, you're 25xing. So massive upside there, but also a way to really sustain your bankroll. All the tools you're getting for free at Stokastic are going to help you win over there. All the free tools, our free videos that we already have, like from Josh and everything else, that's going to help you out. And you're just getting all of our tools, not just for Prize Picks. I'm not saying you're not getting a free month of Prize Picks tools. You're getting a free month of everything that we have for all of our DFS products across all of these sites, everything, you name it. You're locked into that for a full calendar month, including the premium Discord. So check it out. I shouldn't need to say anything else. It's the best deal that we have on the site running at all times. Link in the description and in chat. Prize Picks, $100 first match deposit bonus and $120 value, free month of Stokastic plus Platinum. If it's available in your state, you'd be insane not to take advantage of this. So check it out. Hit us up. Say hi in the Discord when you join as well. All right. Milwaukee and Phoenix. What did you answer that your favorite drink was when you go into a bar?
I said it depends when and where and who I'm with.
Was it like a glass of Chardonnay?
I mean, like when I go to a bar, because like I drink like once a week and I'll just go out and know that I'm going to be out for a while. So I'll just drink like High Noons or something because I'm not trying to just like get tanked at the bar after 3 hours. But like if I'm, in a situation where I know I'm going to be out a couple hours with friends or something, then, like whiskey ginger or something like that. Okay.
Yeah, I'm a simple man. If I go out like for lunch, I'm going with a nice 7-8% IPA.
Sure. Yeah.
Because I'm having one beer.
Right.
Right. That's different. If I'm going out with the boys, I sit down and I go Coors and a shot of Jack. It starts you off nice. You got it. See, what's crazy to me is if you're going out for a night and you don't start with a shot, like I think
I never did.
It should be a requirement that you sit down, you grab a beer and a shot, and you knock the shot back immediately. Gets your blood going. It gets you feeling good.
Yeah, I mean, so I guess sometimes I do, not by choice, because at the bar I go to, a lot of times it's an excuse for them to take a shot, so I end up taking a shot.
Yeah.
But like, if I have the choice, I don't go with the shot.
My wife's pretty cool where if I have like wicked hangover days, I'm just on the couch sometimes. But, we have a 2-year-old daughter. She's a lot of work. So I have to get up a lot earlier than I used to. Before, I could do what you were doing because I could stay there all night.
Right.
But now
And then be
I'm
dead the
just
next
trying to, I have a limited window. So I'm trying to get a little banged up while I'm there. So if
Yeah.
I'm there from like 7 to 10:30, I might stop drinking by 10, fit everything into that window to feel good, have a good time, hang out with the boys, but not feel as bad in the morning. It's kind of
Right.
it's strategic, you know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah, no, my friends use the kids. So like they don't come to Baltimore because they're like, if I come to Baltimore, I'm gonna be out with you all night, and my wife's not gonna let me just sleep all day because we have
You
kids.
can't. It doesn't
Right.
work like that anymore.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. There are times though where dude, she has video of me on the couch from a few weeks ago. It was actually during the Bills game. Who did the Bills lose? Bills Bengals game. And I was I woke up. I must have passed out like in the first quarter and woke up after halftime. And I was like, oh, what happened? And she had already made dinner, and I felt like a fucking asshole. But felt a lot better once I woke up. I'm lucky to have her. I tell you, most people would not put up with my nonsense. All right, let's keep going here. Where are we at? Milwaukee and Phoenix. All right, so Giannis missed what was it, 3 games, I think, and then he came back yesterday. I guess we just have to operate under the assumption that he's going to play today, but I don't think it's the craziest idea to keep an eye on that. What are you doing with Milwaukee right now? Should be a fun game to watch.
Yeah, it should be a fun game to watch. Assuming Giannis is in, I'm not doing much of anything as far as playing this game. Giannis is expensive. Drew's expensive. We assume Middleton's not going to play. But that's not enough for me to really want to pay 9,100 for Drew with Giannis back. It's tough to get the Giannis at 12K. If you manage to do it, great. He does at least have power forward eligibility, whereas Anthony Davis and Jokic are just locked in at center. So at least on DraftKings. So, he does have that working in his favor. But right now, at least, I still think I'm going to end up just preferring going with a little bit more balanced build.
Okay. Josh said you're not the only one to pass out during the Bills-Bengals game. Yeah, that was a shit game. You know what's the worst is? The hangovers that don't hit you until the afternoon, so you think you've escaped unscathed, and you're like, I don't feel bad at all today. Let's do some stuff. 12 or 1 o'clock hits you, and you go, oh no, it caught up to me. And then the rest of the day, like all the way till you go to bed, you feel horrible.
Yeah, you wake up, it's like, oh man, I actually feel pretty good. I must have drank enough water last night or something. And then
when really you're still drunk, probably.
Right. And then 2-3 hours later, it's like, oh no, I don't feel good.
Yeah. And then you're like, oh, I have the deeper dive coming up.
Right.
Yeah. I don't allow that to happen on weekdays because I would never be able to get through work. Responsible drinker now. I even Uber. All right. Phoenix.
Yeah, I just walk, but
stumble.
Yeah. I try not to do it during weekdays, but it happens.
Yeah. Once you get older, people don't believe me. Jordan doesn't believe me. Once you hit that like 32, 33.
Dude, it was 25 for me.
Really?
I remember waking up on my 25th birthday and being like, I have never felt a hangover like this.
Well, you probably got hammered.
I mean, I did, absolutely.
When you had done that regularly. And
right, yeah. Like, I went to college. Like, I got hammered regularly. Like, did I probably do it a bit more on my 25th birthday? Sure. But, like, I just remember waking up like, holy shit. Like, I have felt bad before, but, like, I have never felt like this.
It's almost like the flu.
Right.
It's so bad. What do you want to do with the Suns today? DeAndre Ayton with no Kevin Durant on the floor. Guy's coming back to life. As quick as he disappeared, he's coming back to life.
Yeah, he's looked good. We talked about that usage rate really dropping off when Kevin Durant got there, but now he's back to normal, giving you plenty of minutes. 7,400. I like getting to him. He looks good. 10% ownership, 10% chance of being optimal. No problems with that.
Do you want to get to anybody else for Phoenix?
CP3. Yeah, CP3, Booker both look fine. You're getting plenty of playing time from them. This should be a competitive game, should be a good game. You're likely to get, a lot of minutes from both of those guys. Neither one is a huge priority. Booker at 10-1, Paul at 7,500, but no problems there. Outside of that, I don't have too much interest here. I'm sure Josh is going to jam in Josh Okogie again, but I'm not super excited about him at 5,200. Torrey Craig at 3,800 should get the minutes, but it's unless he just runs into like a bunch of blocks and steals, it's tough for him to really produce enough fantasy points that you really want to have him.
Oh, he said Laffy missed the joke. Yeah. No, I didn't miss it. I just didn't understand the context because I was talking about the playoff game, Josh. Not
And
your
I didn't
sick.
realize what he meant either until right now.
Because you assumed I was talking about the playoff game, right?
Yeah, I was thinking the playoff game.
Yeah, you sick, twisted son of a bitch. I mean,
Josh just trying to make sure he doesn't have to do any shows the rest of the week.
I missed it because I wasn't even assuming that you were talking about a regular season game. I get it. All right. Well, let's talk about it's probably a good thing I missed that. New York Knicks and Portland wrap it up. Appreciate you guys getting us over 100 likes here. Also, stick around for the rest of the day. We got some good stuff coming up. You have the DraftKings Rainmakers show. Greg and Eric are doing that. That should be interesting. 1:30 Eastern. NHL Strategy Show at 2 p.m. The Odd Shop on the Odd Shopper channel at 4 p.m. NBA Deeper Dive and Live Before Lock at 5 and 6. We got a lot going on. Also, I'm back doing the NBA betting video. I started that off, pioneered that last year, blazed the trail with the NBA props video. We're back at it today. Come show your boy some love. It'll be up this afternoon, and we'll sweat some stuff together. All right. We'll wrap it up here with the New York Knicks and the Portland Trail Blazers. We still have some news that's up in the air, some moving parts with Lillard and Jeremy Grant. But as far as the Knicks go, also still waiting on Jalen Brunson here. So I don't think we have Brunson projected in.
He's listed doubtful.
Oh, he is doubtful now? Okay. He was questionable when I was going over this earlier. So that would make sense then. What does that do for the rest of the team today?
It makes them still look good. Emmanuel Quickly's up to 7,100. So you're certainly getting an elevated price tag there where he's not a free square like he was for a little bit, but still plenty of minutes. Played 31 and a half last game, but he has the potential to play quite a bit more than that, especially if he's playing well. Josh Hart at 5,400 has a path to more minutes. He played 32 minutes last game, closed both halves. We've seen that pretty typically when Brunson's been out. Julius Randle sees increased production. He's 9,900. He should be relatively easy to get to. RJ Barrett sees more playing time. He is up to 7K, but Barrett goes from being in that 28 to 30 minute range to getting back to 36 to 38 minutes. So certainly some upside for him. Mitchell Robinson not really impacted by Brunson, but still only 5,100 playing 30 plus minutes in most games. Only played 24 last game. Didn't play all in the fourth quarter, but typically you've been getting 30 plus from him. Makes him a pretty interesting option in tournaments at that price tag as well.
By the way, I don't believe in too soon for jokes. I don't believe in too soon because when does a dark joke become okay?
The minute you think of it.
Well, yeah. I mean, listen, you and I are twisted people though. But I mean, though, people go, "Oh, too soon, man." It's like, okay, so in a few weeks from now, it'll be okay. Doesn't make any sense,
right? Because like the reason it doesn't make any sense is if you're actually trying to be empathetic, it would be towards people that like know the person that you're making, that's involved in the joke or whatever. 2 weeks later, they still don't feel good about it. Like they're never going to feel good about it. So there's no real difference, like between doing it right away or waiting 2 weeks.
Look, I'll be honest. If it were 1912, I'd probably be making Titanic jokes. Now It's okay because none of them are still alive. But what made it? When was it okay to? You know what I'm saying? Exactly what you just pointed out. It's, but like me say, you can make a Titanic joke now and nobody goes, "Oh," when still it's just as bad as anything else that's happened. Lots of people perished on that fateful night. All right, let's wrap this one up. Jordan, will you relax, man? You act like there aren't all grown adults and grown, mature, certainly not overreactive people in this room. Okay, you act like everyone isn't entirely mature and can handle jokes and they don't get offended by things. If you do, stop getting offended by things that don't involve you. I promise your life will get a whole lot easier and a lot more fun.
Also, somebody said, if I made a joke about your grandma's death, would that be cool? And then could be Travis said, so if your mom died, it's okay to make jokes about it the same day. If it's funny, like you don't you probably couldn't make a funny joke because like you don't know your grandmother or my mother. Like,
yeah.
so you probably can't make a funny joke about it. But like, if you say something funny, sure.
I mean, listen, I've joked about my dad as a way
I absolutely know you have.
And can I be honest? Pretty funny.
Yeah.
But he's laughing at that stuff. There's no doubt. Where do you think I got that sick, twisted humor from? My dad was horrible with that type of stuff.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I made a joke to Josh.
Yeah. Look, my dad was an infectious disease doc, so all he saw all day was like horrible stuff. And you just get this kind of morbid type of sense of humor. I mean, listen, if my dad died, it was October 16th, 2018. Okay. And it was actually opening night of NBA. I had a great show that night. No, I'm kidding. I didn't work.
The Brett Favre show.
If that happened and like you made a joke, you're my friend and you made a joke to me about it that night, I'd be like, all right, that's fucked up, dude. Like, don't do that.
Right.
But at the same time, would I like it? No, of course not. But what am I going to do about it? Like, if someone made a joke, I'm not going to let it ruin my life. That's all I'm saying. Like, I don't let jokes offend me. Whether I agree with it or not, whether I think it's funny or not is one thing. I'm not going to let it destroy me and then lose sleep over it.
Right. Yeah. And also, I mean, it's just, there's a huge difference too between like when you like know somebody personally. I'm not going to walk up to you and be like, yo, you know how your dad died? Like, and crack a joke, it's totally different when it's just like a random person or random event.
That is the thing. When you have no real attachment to them, it's a lot easier. Yeah, for sure.
Right. Yeah.
And I admit that it's hypocritical, but such is life.
And yes, Anthony Jeselnik is the greatest.
Yeah, that's Adam's favorite comedian. No surprise there. What are we doing with Portland today? No ownership whatsoever coming in on this team. A lot of question marks, but we can start it off with Dame. He does have some positive leverage, but he still doesn't have a particularly high optimal score in the boom bust tool.
Yeah, I mean, the price tag is just still really expensive. You have Nurkic back, you have Simons back. Maybe you won't have Grant, but it still just makes it tough to pay that salary for Dame, especially, when you do have Anthony Davis at a similar price point. You have Jokic not that much more expensive. So it goes without saying that he's got a very high ceiling, but not a great matchup. Don't love the price tag on Dame. Pretty tough for me to get there. Tough for me to get to much of anything, assuming that Dame and Grant are in. If they're out, then certainly stuff opens up where Anthony Simons would look better. Nurkic would look better. But assuming that they're in, I don't really have much interest at all in Portland.
Omar has a great point. It's a sliding scale. Closer to the event, the funnier you have to be. That's what too soon means.
Yeah, pretty much.
But Josh's joke was pretty funny, if we're being completely honest here. Like it was a pretty good joke. Yeah.
And also the closer to the event and the closer or like more intimate the setting. Like if you're gonna make that joke to like DeMar Hamlin's family, you need to make a really, really fucking funny joke. If you're gonna make it like in a YouTube chat section, you don't have to be quite as funny.
Yes. And me personally, I wouldn't make that a joke like that to his family.
Right, of course. I'm very confident that nobody from his family is watching this show.
Right. I'm not heartless. The bad jokes are the ones where people go out of their way to make a joke about something. And you can tell that they're just trying to be funny, making a joke about something that just happened. Usually that always falls flat. But you know what the problem is? Not a problem. You know what the truth is? Funny is funny. Like funny is not a choice. It's reflexive. So if somebody says something funny and you shouldn't be laughing at it, but you laughed at it anyway, you can't get mad at that because it was really funny. And even though you don't want to laugh, you laugh.
Agreed.
The way we go about life here. Jordan, good stuff, right? Shout out to Jordan Klein for producing. Appreciate you guys hanging out as always. Hit that thumbs up before you go. Follow Adam at Ship My Money DFS, me at Laffy _D, and we will catch you back here for the next one. Peace.